So today I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience in retreat, the Manjushri retreat we had. It was very interesting, very helpful. So Lama Tsongkhapa wrote in the Lamrim Chenmo, therefore, if you are satisfied with just a little personal instruction and neglect to familiarize yourself with the explanations of the classical texts, your compassion and love will be very weak. You must analyze these explanations with discerning wisdom and elicit the experience produced after sustaining them in meditation. You will not achieve anything with the unclear experiences that come when you make a short, concentrated effort without precisely clarifying the topic with your understanding. Know that this is true for other kinds of practice as well. So I really appreciate the precision that Lama Tsongkhapa instructs us in developing love and compassion. And this last week during the Manjushri retreat, we had the opportunity to analyze and then meditate on the explanations of great compassion with discerning wisdom, at least intellectually in my case, and how the two complement each other. So basically, bodhisattvas have great compassion and work for the benefit of sentient beings, and the realization of emptiness nourishes the bodhisattva's compassion. So the question becomes, how can I bring this compassion informed by emptiness into my practice, where I am right now? So one way when being taught any material, actually, for me is to pay attention to those phrases that seem to resonate, even if I don't understand them at first. But there's something about them that draws me in. It's kind of like trying to figure out a puzzle. I know it's important, but I'm not quite sure how it all fits yet. So if I pay attention to those and keep meditating on them and looking at them, then some understanding comes usually. So this last week that happened when Venerable Children recited verses from Nagarjuna's text, commentary of Bodhisattva. And this is in chapter 4 of volume 5 of the Library of Wisdom and Compassion, Homage to Great Compassion. So the first verse reads, in brief, the Buddha taught that agents, actions, and consequences are, in conventional terms, empty things generated from empty things. That grabbed me. It really struck a chord. Empty things generated from empty things. So immediately I connected with the pain of grasping at inherent existence. For some reason, how that was phrased really got me to really see that personally. So myself, my actions, the consequences of my actions are all empty of inherent existence. Yet I live believing in how my actions, and how the consequences of my actions appear to exist solidly, set up from their own side, permanent, separate, self-instituting. I live the pain of grasping at true existence. I live the pain of grasping at true existence. His Holiness says, when we examine our situation, it is clear that all destructive emotions arise based on false appearances. Things appear to exist objectively, and we assent to that appearance and grasp them to exist in that way. Venerable Children spent quite a bit of time unpacking this verse and using the analogy of the reflection of the moon in water rippling in a breeze. So we're subject to moment-by-moment disintegration, as fluctuating as the reflection of the moon in water that is being stirred by the wind. And in volume 5, they continue to talk about this. So bodhisattvas see sentient beings as momentarily impermanent, like a moon in rippling water. The rippling of water indicates both the gross impermanence of death that all of us are subject to, and the subtle impermanence of disintegrating in each moment. The water's nature is to change. It can never remain static. Similarly, sentient beings and their environments, including their bodies, minds, and enjoyments, arise and cease in each moment. To get a strong sense of sentient beings' impermanence, we can visualize a reflection of the moon shimmering in rippling water as the breeze constantly blows. Then think that constant rippling change is like the unstoppable momentary change of our body and mind in samsara. Yet blind to this transitory nature, we cling to the notion that we and everything around us is reliable and unchanging. That's painful. His Holiness continues, holding what is impermanent to be permanent makes the mind inflexible. We refuse to accept anything that doesn't agree with our expectations. Seeing this, bodhisattvas experience compassion for sentient beings. So remembering this, we can also develop and strengthen our compassion for all sentient beings. In the next verse, Nagarjuna writes, in this way, when yogis practice meditating on that emptiness, without a doubt, they grow attached to the well-being of others. So as His Holiness says, seeing that sentient beings grasp impermanent things as permanent, and knowing that they suffer intensely because of this, stimulates compassion in our hearts. So reflecting on this is very powerful. An attitude of compassion can easily arise when we go over this in our mind again and again. We can use the analogy that emphasizes the illusory nature of sentient beings when reflecting on this second verse. Just as the moon reflected in water falsely appears to be a real moon, although it isn't, sentient beings falsely appear to be inherently existent, although they are not. His Holiness continues, although all persons appear to be real with their own essential nature that makes them who they are. Here's another phrase that grabbed me. They are actually reflections of their previously created karma. I'll read that again. Although all persons appear to be real with their own essential nature that makes them who they are are actually reflections of their previously created karma. When I read that, I really get a sense of how insubstantial everything is, how I am. We are continually baffled, depressed, and upset when illusion-like people and things do not fulfill our expectations of their being predictable and reliable. How many times a day do we go through that one? I don't know about you, but for me, many. So although there is no moon in the water of a still pond, the reflection exists. It is a dependent arising, the product of the water, moon, and light coming together in a certain arrangement. Just as there is no inherently existent person in the body, mind, or collection of the two, a person still exists. The I, too, is dependent arising product of a particular set of chromosomes and a particular mental continuum coming together at a certain time. Again, not substantial at all. Seeing sentient beings as empty of existing from their own side protects our compassion and altruism by preventing afflictions from arising when we seek to benefit them. If we see sentient beings as truly existent, our relationships with them easily become complicated. We may expect them to follow our advice and to appreciate our guidance, or we may be attached to the outcome of our efforts. Yes, yes, yes to all of those. By remembering that no inherently existent person is there, our mind is freer to meet situations freshly. So let's analyze and meditate on these words that Nagarjuna wrote. In brief, the Buddha taught that agents, actions, and consequences are, in conventional terms, empty things generated from empty things. In this way, when yogis practice meditating on that emptiness, without a doubt, they grow attached to the well-being of others.